Alright, so I had talked to a couple of you about starting a new game of Factorio, kind of doing a tutorial series, so I've decided to go ahead and do one. I'm going to go ahead and call it Factorio Dirt to Megabase. The objective here is to go ahead and build a base under normal settings that's going to be clean, neat, and efficient, low startup time, and a good general background, and couple that with the ability to go ahead and launch one rocket per minute into space when I'm done. This is probably going to be like a 40 or 50 part series. It really depends on what all goes out. But for now, we'll go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and go with the default settings. Alright, so first thing I do when I come into game for the first time is I check to make sure that I have the minimum 2 viable resources I need in order to make any of this work. Looking at the map, I have plenty of copper ore, some coal, some iron ore, near a water source, and plenty of flat land to build on, preferably without a lot of trees. So this is honestly a decent looking build out, and I'm actually kind of excited to get it started. There's not a lot of stone in the nearby vicinity, so we're going to have to go out and get that, but that isn't too big of a issue. It's just going to be an issue starting out because I'm going to have to run back and forth a little bit, but I don't think that that's going to be too big of a problem. Aside from that, I think we're good to go. So the first thing you're going to want to do when getting started in a game like this is getting some resources to go ahead and burn. I guess I'm going to go for the coal patch up here just because it's the shorter walk, and I'm going to go ahead and craft out a iron axe. With that in mind, we're going to go ahead and mine probably 5 or 10 coal. We'll just do 4 or 5 to start with, just to get our burner miner up and running. And it looks like in 0.16 they actually ended up changing out their resources. So the iron looks different now, as does the copper slightly. But in the meantime, while that's going, for the moment, I'm going to go over here and try to get some stone mined out. I think I saw a small little patch over here. Yep. And we'll grab some of that. Probably 20 or 30. Ideally, I'd find a rock somewhere around here, but I haven't seen one. Big sandy rock. That's new as well. But we'll give that a shot. For those that don't know, this provides more ore and less effort. So that provided me with 21 stone right off the bat, which is enough to go ahead and build 4 stone furnaces, which is a good little starting point. I'm going to chop down some trees while we're over here, since they're good for getting started anyway. And we're going to need some for poles and other resources. Apparently they also added cliffs in 0.16 as well. I don't think I'm a huge fan of that, but you can remove them, so we'll see how that goes. Though my understanding is that's fairly high up the tech tree before you can actually get rid of these things. So we'll see. Here's another one. Excellent. Just what I needed. Alright. And it's going to get dark here at night. Once I get my electricity set up, I'll start setting up some more lights, just to kind of show off the build a little bit more. Yeah. And surprise, surprise, we are all out of fuel here, but nobody's really shocked by that. At any rate, we're going to go ahead and get a couple more burner mining drills set up, and I'm actually plug them in here on the copper vein. Or not on the copper vein, on the coal vein, to go ahead and get them started in a cycle. So if you connect them like that, so they're facing each other, you can go ahead and put just a tiny little bit in one of resources, and they'll just feed each other and start off a whole cycle, which is fantastic for our purposes. I'm going to actually take some of that out so we can start feeding with copper in the meantime. While we're waiting for that, let's go ahead and build another burner mining drill and set up a secondary burn here. And should be able to, yep, take some coal, and we'll just shove some of that coal in each of our miners, and there we go. Alright, so those should start off really quick, getting us some cheap quick iron. We're also going to want to do basically the same thing up there with some copper, get some copper started. So we'll leave that running for the moment and run over and grab some copper. It looks like we can only afford one, so that's fine. We don't actually need all that much copper. It's just nice to have. We don't need that much copper starting out in the beginning, that is. The longer the game goes on, the more we're going to need. And, yeah. Alright. So, I'm going to go ahead and get another one of these built. And I think I am actually out of... Yeah, no, I have enough resources to go ahead and build two more. So I can go ahead and build two more burner mining drills and get them connected into a series like this, so that it just makes a giant loop. And those should start filling up here momentarily and kick on. Let me go ahead and check out how our mining drills are doing. Got some coal, but not enough. I didn't flick that on, so let me go ahead and turn that like that, and that should kick off the whole cycle over there. These have got a tiny little bit of coal in them, so we'll just bump these up to like 10, so I can ignore this for a little bit. And then come back down here and get these a little bit more stationed away, so I can keep some of that wood so I can use it later. And come back up here. For those who are wondering, who haven't played the game before, you can shift-click on anything and pick up everything that it's produced. And right-click to go ahead and pick up half of the stack. Alright, so that's going now. As is our copper production over here. Ideally, we're going to want more of these before we go ahead and start converting over. In the meantime, I'm going to be looking for more rocks nearby, see if I see any easy, cheap rocks to grab. I'm not seeing any. That doesn't mean there aren't any here. Just means I'm blind, which, you know, it's pretty normal. There are not a whole lot of trees out here either, which is either good or bad depending on your perspective. It's good for plenty of building space. It's bad for pollution and for making sure that you can get all the resources you need. At any rate, click over here, get all of that, come down here, and since I think I'm going to be going away for a little bit, I'm going to leave these running. Yeah, because we've got plenty. That's got plenty up there, at least last I remember, so we'll come down here and start mining out some more stone. Actually, this is perfect. Ha. I actually like this addition. It's helpful. The fact that you can get a bulk of stone easier starting off. I remember having to mine off individuals, which takes a lot longer, especially when you're doing it by hand. It's not as bad with a mining drill, but by hand it's pretty bad. No, that's ore. Okay. That looks like it's all we're going to get down here, which is fine. That's plenty. Plenty enough for the moment, at any rate. Looks like we're starting to get up there with the resources, so... Actually, let me not produce that. I'm going to go ahead and build a couple more miner drills, and we'll get some more iron going here. I think that's probably going to be all of the miners we're going to build of this type. There are other miner drills which don't require coal to go ahead and get started, and we'll probably use those fairly shortly. And we'll just grab all of the iron out of here. Looks like we have enough for an offshore pump, a couple of steam engines, and some power poles. So that's a good place to get started. Collect this copper over here. And I guess the first thing we're going to try to automate is some iron mining. A lot of people don't like going for power this early, but I find it's well worth the effort. You know what I'm missing? Enough space for an actual boiler. There we go. And let me go around and collect all of the resources really quick so I can go ahead and start stocking up on things. And I think that these two needed a bit more, so let me give them a bit more, and then we'll just run by and collect all that. Alright, so we got our pump offshore over here. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and turn it this direction so we're facing outward and we don't have to worry about getting tangled up in resources as we go to build. Alright, there we go. And go ahead and place that. Yeah, I'm not liking any of these options. So we're going to put it there. And then we'll connect out to here. And we're going to need some pipe really quick to connect the two. Not sure exactly how much pipe we're going to need, but one more. There we go. Alright, so now we have water and we have steam. And with steam, we can go ahead and start connecting up our power grid. I'm going to put a pole here because we're going to need it for funneling resources in. And it looks like we just ran out of coal for our copper mine. Let me come over here, grab some more coal, toss it in here. Well, it's either full or, yeah, out of copper, or out of coal. There we go. Alright, so come on down here. We'll go ahead and refill some of these as well. It's just a good idea to always be producing resources in this game. It just makes for a better game altogether. Alright, so we've got power. We're going to go ahead and continue bringing the power down here. And we're going to do a junction over this way for some coal, and a junction down this way for some iron. I'm not a huge fan of the way the new iron veins are kind of spread out here. It's interesting, but it's not my personal taste. At any rate, we can go ahead and get a couple of these set up and get our first transport belts out of the way. But I'd like to go ahead and start working on some science, actually. So let me cancel all this. This is a bad idea. We should probably be working on science first and foremost. That way we can get some assembly machines up and running and really get this off to a good start. So research in this game is based off of a couple of different tech trees. The first one that you're going to want to probably pick up is automation, and that gives us the ability to go ahead and build assembling machines, which will come in handy for not building things by hand for all eternity. And we'll go ahead and schedule up some science packs. I think we need 10, so there's 8, 9, 10. Alright. That'll get us our first tech tree, and in the meantime we can go ahead and work on some of our other stuff. We really don't have a use for this at the moment, at least not until we get some science out of the way. Let me go ahead and plug this in. Come over here, grab some more iron, grab some more coal, and we'll mine out some trees while we're waiting for the science to go ahead and finish up. Because we're going to need it for power poles eventually. At least for the moment. Later on we'll get robots and we'll be able to just fly around and have them grab everything for us, and it's much easier than having trees try to do it. You know, do all the trees by hand. Though to be thankful, we don't have a ton of trees out here, so that's good. Alright, looks like our science is done up. I'm going to actually schedule 10 more. Actually, I think we need 20 more for everything I want, but for the moment we can kick that off. And we'll go ahead and put this facing this way down here. And once that's done, you know, I really hate building belts by hand, so we'll build a belt factory after automation's done. It'll be done in like 30 seconds or so, so it's not that big of a waste of time anyway. In the meantime, we can still be collecting resources and getting everything set up for our base. So, while I have a minute here before we go ahead and continue further, I'll talk a little bit about power production and other things because I kind of skimmed over that a little bit. In this game, there are a couple of different ways to go ahead and build out power production. And of those, for the most part, in the beginning, you're going to be doing steam engines. Later on, you can either do solar panels or nuclear power, or, depending on a couple of other factors, a couple of other ways to go ahead and do power. At any rate, we'll go ahead and set up a couple more burner miner drills here, and then we'll go ahead and build a factory as soon as I have it. But for the moment, we'll build a couple of these, because why not? Alright, so that really doesn't have a whole lot of iron underneath it. I mean, this doesn't either, but to be fair, it's our starter iron patch, so it can wait a little bit. Sweet, our automation is finished, so we come in here. The second thing, I'm going to go ahead and pick logistics, because that allows us underground belts and faster inserters and all sorts of good stuff. So, kick that off, and I think I put 10 here. Pretty sure I put 10 in here. Yeah. So, let me go ahead and make 10 more of these. And since we have belts anyway, let me look at the map real quick. Where do we want to go ahead and build our hub? I'm going to go ahead and say that we're going to go ahead and build our hub out this way, just for simplicity. So we'll start connecting things out that direction. And for the moment, we'll go ahead and connect these up, give them some power, and that'll get us started there. And then we can stop using the burner miner drills, which is phenomenal. 7, we got 3 more to go. Come over here, collect that. So, one of the first things we're going to go ahead and do is set up a whole bunch of miners down this way, and get started in that field. Or, not miners, a whole bunch of stone furnaces. So, while we're waiting for that anyway, we'll go ahead and make a couple. Well, you know what? We don't need to make them. We can just pick them up when we're done here. We'll go ahead and fill up our coal production over here so that we don't run out of power. And I'm going to go ahead and say that right about here is going to be our path up and down this way. And while we wait for that, we can build an assembly machine to go ahead and kick off our belt production. We're going to need a ton of belts, and we might as well go ahead and build a temporary machine to solve that problem. So, what do belts require? Coming in here, belts require 1 iron plate and 1 iron gear wheel, which means we're going to go ahead and need a secondary assembler to go ahead and build iron gear wheels. So we'll go ahead and build one of those now. And I'll connect this up down here, because why not? And we'll grab all this, just to keep these running. No reason not to have them running. Grab that, and stuff it all in there. And I'm going to go ahead and pick these up at this point, because we're going to use them for the stone down there, but we can keep them running, keep them filled for now. In the meantime, we have our secondary assembler here, and we're going to need a chest and a couple of inserters. So, actually, we're going to need 2 chests, aren't we? Yes, we are. Okay. So we got our 2 chests here, and insert into here, and we need a 3rd inserter to go ahead and, well, we need 2 more inserters and another box. We could be a little bit more scarce on resources here, but I'd rather do it the right way than worry about it later. Alright, so we're going to have you make belts, and we're going to have you go ahead and produce gears. Yes, okay. And in here we're going to go ahead and drop some iron, and some iron in here, and voila, we now have belts. There it is. Okay, if you hit the Alt button, you can go ahead and turn on the overview for each individual chest, and so you can see what items create what. Much easier when you have the view on. Alright, so I'm going to go over here, grab a bunch more, because why not? And we'll just go ahead and move these over and make arms for the moment, just so I don't have to keep coming back. Alright, so we're going to need a bunch of arms anyway, so it doesn't really matter if we make a bunch now and just start using them. This is not going to be our final place for our posts or for our smelters, so that in mind, we'll go ahead and get these started. But in case you couldn't tell, I hate doing things by hand, so for the moment, we'll go ahead and fill all these up, get them started. And then we need a ton of coal. A literal ton of coal. Close enough. There we go. Those are all firing up, and we need more iron for these, and we have a bunch of belts there. Sweet. In the meantime, I'm going to go take all of these miners down and build a couple of chests and get started on some stone, just because I know we're going to need it for a lot of our builds, and it makes sense to just start stockpiling some now. How are we doing on wood? We have enough wood for quite a few poles, so I'll let that be. But in the meantime, we get this started. I'm going to actually move it over one, just because it's easier. And I lied about having enough wood for the poles, mostly because I was a moron and didn't bring enough for stone mining down here. So once we get enough wood, we'll go back up there, and we'll get started on what effectively will end up being our hub. Alright, so we should be coming up on logistics here shortly. I'm not sure. I don't think I had enough. Yeah, I didn't stick enough in the machine to go ahead and finish that out, so we'll go ahead and do that when we get back. Come up here. There we go. Alright, so we should have logistics momentarily. Grab some more coal. Stick it in some more furnaces. And grab a whole mess of iron, which is just wonderful, because we can use all the iron we can get. Stick a stack in here, stick another stack in here, and then come over here and grab some more coal. And put some coal into our furnace, which will inevitably run out of coal eventually. But for the moment, we can operate without it. Alright, so I believe I have a blueprint here for some basic smelting. Basically what this will do is it'll allow me to go ahead and stick down a blueprint of what I want, and we'll go from there. So this is a basic smelting system. It's not good for the level 3 electric burners, but for our purposes it'll be good enough for the base of the game. So we'll go ahead and start over this way, place one there, and a few beside it, and this will be our iron section of the base. It does not like the fact that there are trees there. Okay, there we go. 3, and sorry for the brightness, folks, but We'll get some lights on here in a moment. And I just totally screwed that one up. So let me grab another plan up here. Construction planner. And just remove all of those. Yep, there we go. Because I'd like these to be in a line. Okay, so that'll be our iron eventually. We'll create a space here for the road. That'll be, this will end up being our, once I remove the tree, this will end up being our copper production, and then we'll have other ones down there for stones and every other imaginable thing. But for the moment, we'll go ahead and get started on building these. So, without further ado, we go over here, and we're going to need at least 2 of these, 1 of these, and a literal ton of inserters. And let me go up and give our furnace a little bit more fuel, just so that we don't have to worry about it while we're doing this. Alright, so splitters there, underground belt here and here, and then go ahead and connect all of these up this way. Alright, and then a output belt for all of our beautiful glorious iron here. Alright, now that we have that out of the way, let's go ahead and grab some of these. I'm going to need to grab the other ones over there momentarily, along with setting up some sort of a coal mine. So I'm going to put out 2 electric drills, and I might need to go over and grab some more copper. Yep. And while we're here anyway, ta-da, grab some copper plates, and just start picking all of these up. I always forget this. Inserters first, not last. That way you aren't picking up random bits off the side of the road. Don't play like me, folks. Use my tutorials as a guide, but don't use my inability to do things in the correct order. Ah, okay. Need to build another iron axe. I was like, this is way too slow. Okay, and pick all these up. Alright. Got plenty of coal for these once we get everything set up. I don't think we have enough actual furnaces to make this happen, but pretty sure we don't, in fact. Okay, so we're going to need some more stone. Good news is we're building plenty of stone down that way, but for the moment, there's no reason for us not to start getting this all set up and running before we travel down to go get some. Alright, and then we'll need some power poles to get this whole thing up and running. Alright, and a couple more inserters down here. Alright, now we can go ahead and put in some of this wonderful coal into all of these. Alright, and then we'll connect our power out this way. Alright, and then the last thing we need to do is just pipe in some of our glorious iron ore. So I want a road going right through here eventually. So for the purposes of that, we're going to go ahead and build some more underground networks. Okay. So, I guess I can rotate these after I'm done, just to make sure I get the length right. Okay. So one coming from over here, going to over here, and then another one coming from over here and going to over here. Okay. And this bottom one here will go ahead and be our coal, and the top one will be our iron. Yes. Or no. Yeah, that is correct. I don't know why I was thinking it wasn't. Alright. So that'll connect like that, and then we'll get another one over here for our coal. And unsurprisingly, we have a lot of coal. But, as you'll see shortly, the way we've set this up, it'll allow for both resources to take up half the belt, and everything else to be set up. Alright, so rotate that. Alright, we need 2 more of the electric mining drills. Well, 1 more at a minimum. And then we'll just put one here. And once we have the other one, another one here. And while we let that run, because it's wonderful stuff, we'll go ahead and insert a couple more plates into here and into here. And then we'll run on down and get some more stone. When we come back, we'll go ahead and throw some more coal into our system and go ahead and connect that to a belt, so that we can maintain power. This time I came prepared. Alright, so we got plenty of stone. Plenty of stone. We'll just go ahead and start manufacturing some more of these. And an inserter. Let me go ahead and cut those off, and then put these in. Alright. So, splitter goes here for now. We'll move it later, but for the purposes of convenience, it'll go here for now, and comes up this way, and just in the nick of time, because we are about to run out of power. I can just go ahead and insert that by hand for the moment, and then one of these can start inserting it into there as it runs out. At any rate, that's fantastic. We're going to need a lot more coal, though. A lot more coal. For the moment, it looks like we've got a backflow kind of situated or whatever have you. What we lack, oddly enough, is iron ore. So let's go fix that real quick. Well, actually, I have these. We might as well get the rest of this set up. That way we can really put a hurting on the coal ore that we're producing. That is backwards. And we're going to need to make some more of these. And to be honest, we should probably start working on a science pack factory here shortly, which I'll probably do, just so that we can get all of that situated and up and running. But for the moment, we'll go ahead and get things a little bit more stabilized, get our secondary systems up and running for our copper, and then I think I'm going to cut the video at that point. So we'll have iron and copper going, and, you know, for the most part, we'll be on our way to the mid-game, which is fantastic. I'm never really a big fan of the early game, just because you spend so much time crafting things by hand, and the sooner we can get out of that, the better. So those are all complaining they're out of fuel. No surprise there. Mostly because I didn't connect this here. Didn't connect it correctly at all. So, we'll extend this down this way some more, and we'll build some more miners. We're going to need more miners here as well. And while we're waiting for those to go ahead and get done, we'll start extending this over this way into the copper section. So I think that's going to be the last of the hand-drilled copper that we're going to do. Or, well, not hand-drilled, but fire-drilled copper that we're going to go ahead and do. In the meantime, let me go over here and get some trees, because we're out of power poles. I can't wait until we get to electric energy distribution 2, and we never have to cut down another tree again unless we want to. Cutting trees down for power poles isn't very much fun. It's in fact one of the most boring things about this game, I think. Feels like old school RuneScape, for those of you who have played. I need to get my mithril axe now. Alright, so we've got enough for a little bit of the electric poles. Go ahead and start making some more of those. And we'll just connect these up. It's not a whole lot of ore in this little pocket here, so we'll fix that as we go, but at least we can get things started here. In the meantime, we'll get some more electric mining drills set up for our copper production. And come down here, and we'll connect this into this right along there, and make... Actually, I don't have enough copper for that, so we're just gonna do a poor man's jerry rig here. Good enough. Now you might be saying, "Oh, surely you had to have foreseen that you were going to run out of copper." And yeah, honestly, I did. I did this intentionally to force myself into kind of a square bracket of getting things done. So, coming down here, I'm going to do another run of copper, and I guess we'll do it this way, coming along off the belt, and then start connecting it here. Don't have a reason to put this here anymore, so we'll go ahead and remove it. Come down, and come over this way. Eventually we'll clean all this up and it won't be that big of a deal. For the moment, we just don't have the resources to make that a reality, so we're not going to worry about it too much. At any rate, let me connect some power poles up over here, just so that these will start mining, and that way we can get the copper production off the ground. Alright, so we'll leave that alone for the moment, let that start filling up, come down here, which is where we intend to build our copper factory. I don't have the resources to go ahead and pull this off just yet, so I'm going to go ahead and throw one of these down, just because, why not, and finish out our copper mine that we would need. At any rate, we'll come up this way, and down this way, and, that's backwards. Whatever. We will fix it. It is not a big deal. Fortunately, almost everything in this game is undoable, so as you go along, you can go ahead and correct almost any one of your faults. Except for a terrible personality, which is something that I seem to have. At any rate, let's go over here and set all of this up. And then we should have enough copper to actually go ahead and complete some of this. So we'll go ahead and make our 2. As soon as they're done, while we're waiting for that, we'll go ahead and throw some inserters onto everything over here. And I know I'm going to be low on copper to go ahead and make these, so we'll just get a couple of these set up. Good to go. And some power poles. Alright, some more copper. Sweet. Couple more poles, and then we'll be good to go. Did I insert all of the poles we needed up over there? Yes, I did. Okay, everything's running. Nothing lacks power. Fantastic. Let me go ahead and make one. Well, I'm gonna need more anyway, just to connect this. All right, so this is our connect spot, so that we can be underneath of the road, so to speak, or above the road, whichever you want to call it. And then we'll just run this up and over to our existing power supply here. Okay, that's all online. We're going to need to go ahead and connect this underneath like such, and put that through like that, and this straight on down like this over to here. And for our purposes, we're going to go ahead and need a few more of these. Some more copper for that. What am I missing for this? Ah, iron plates. Have plenty of those. And you just go up and grab some, and we'll kick things off. Sweet, sweet iron. And in abundance, too. Alright, so all the way down here, we're going to need 2 splitters, a couple of undergrounds, which we've already got, and a lot more inserters, but we'll solve that as we go. At any rate, come over here. How did we do it up here? Eventually we'll get stone bricks and solve this entire problem, but did it too off, which is fine. That gives us leverage space, essentially, in the future when we need it. And I'm going to do the same thing for coal when it comes in. Okay, so we got iron flowing into here now, and then we just need some more coal. Actually, need some more iron too, or more copper. Okay. And we honestly need some more coal mines there. We'll get that sorted shortly. In the meantime, this is starting to actually look like a real base. We got plenty of copper being mined out, plenty of coal being mined out as well. And then we'll go up here. Since we already come down on this side anyway, we might as well go ahead and put a splitter in here just to do a run of coal all the way on down. And honestly, I'm going to go ahead for my own sanity's sake and say that we'll just do something like that and something like this to go ahead and connect all this up, and let's go work on our coal problem. Since this should start solving itself momentarily. That did not connect. Okay. There we go. Now it should start connecting. Everybody should start getting fuel. And we'll make some more of these because we're just going to need them. And momentarily, we will have plenty of copper flowing off of this sweet, sweet system. And like I said, it's already starting to come to fruition. And we're going to have a wonderful base that we can be proud of. Now, all of these are eventually going to connect out to our main bus, which I'll be putting out to the, I guess, east of here, for lack of better words to describe it. And hopefully here shortly I will never have to make another inserter by hand, as that will be one of the very first things that we do. Well, not the first, but one of the very first things that we do going forward. Alright, so, and why don't you have fuel? Ah, okay, there's just not enough fuel in the belt. That's perfectly fine. That we can solve. Alright, so last thing I'm going to do before I cut off this video is just throw out some more electric mining drills so we can go ahead and kick this off. And that will be the very basis of our base. That'll mean that we'll have copper production and iron production figured out for the most part. Obviously some trivialities to work through and more to work on in the future. As we go along, we'll come out here probably 5 or 6 videos from now and start filling all of this in. We'll do something similar for the copper, probably 2 copper production, maybe 3, and then we'll do something for steel and something for stone and all the good stuff. All very good, easy to do things. I'll be including a link in the description to go ahead and allow you to go ahead and copy the blueprint that I put out for the iron section. I didn't actually create it, somebody else did, but I found their blueprint to be quite helpful, and so hopefully you will too. Connect this to here, and build one more power pole so that those can all connect like that. And there we go. This should be enough coal production for now for us. At least I think so. I mean, it's possible I'm wrong, but it's already starting to back up on a few of the channels, so I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it there. But hopefully your base looks something like this. Hopefully you enjoyed watching me build all of this. And hopefully you see that it's fairly easy to build a base like this. At any rate, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments section below. And thanks, and have a great day.